London St Mary's Hospital has unveiled a statue that's meant to give all new mothers the honour they deserve. This is Mother Verité, a bronze figure of a postpartum mother standing tall, 7 feet tall to be precise, holding a newborn child. It was commissioned by Frida, a US company making products for new parents. It says only 4% of all the statues in London are of women. Well, I spoke with the creator, Rayvenn D Clark, and Marine Tanguy from MT Art Agency. This was a larger-than-life homage to motherhood. Why was it so important to immortalise this body in bronze and put her in the centre of London?
A really big question. I believe, well, we all have mothers. We come from a woman, and I think in this context, we're thinking about how we can elevate them within our visual society, thinking about the city and how it's littered with statues of men. It was really important for us in this project to think about how we could elevate women and particularly mothers in a kind of really visual context. And so that's what we were trying to do with this project.
And Marine, the fact that she was unveiled at the Lindo wing at St Mary's Hospital in the middle of London was obviously deliberate. I mean, we are obviously very accustomed to seeing that scene, a famous scene of many royal births.
Yes.
So tell me the thinking behind that.
I mean, you want to show that postpartum is not perfect. I think all of us, when we give birth, are suddenly discovering physical details and mental health challenges. It's worth noting that the highest cause of death from 6 weeks to 12 months postpartum is suicide for a woman. And I think this is therefore, you know, beyond all the glossiness of the pictures that we see, there's a real reality that's tangible. And we wanted to honor that. And that's why, you know, there's the veins on the breast, like there's the imperfection and the stretch mark. And I think there's something really interesting is initially when we started conceiving it, when we would put images of postpartum on AI generators, what happened?
Well, computer crashed, software glitched. It wouldn't understand, or it couldn't understand at least what we were asking it to do, which is show me some imperfection. The computer completely eradicated it, and so we were really starting from scratch. But very like that, Marine was going through postpartum at that time, and we really had to reflect on real bodies within this project. So
you were using AI generators because that was part of the process by which you created this, but when you were using them for research purposes at the beginning, you're saying that basically, it didn't recognise this form of a woman's body because it is so unseen.
Yeah, it's pulling from kind of publicly generated data. And if you think about it, any cursory Google search, you won't see anything really directly related to the optics of postpartum. And so, of course, when you go through an AI generator, it also doesn't understand really what you're trying to ask. And, you know, even with some level of creative coding, the computer is really, really struggling to kind of understand what you're asking it to do.
Sexualising the breast, sexualising the pose, like making that body more sexy and different, which actually, as we know, postpartum is not that.
Absolutely not. I've been through it twice.
Exactly.
Definitely not sexy.
So I feel like that was really interesting. And to clarify, we've worked with real bodies of women for this capture. It was important for us that it was modelled on bodies and through real experience. But the AI generators were helping us for the pitch, you know.
Yeah. So tell me about that process. I believe there were 40 women involved.
There were many women involved,
okay.
yeah. And essentially, it was a case of me kind of entering to their home spaces with them and actually their newborn child and 3D scanning their bodies, making sure that all of the details that we really wanted within the sculpture, I had those primarily as a 3D form that we then used in terms of like a digital space to build the sculpture out. But it was really important for us to reflect in that way because, of course, there's a huge lack when it comes to kind of any assistance that we could have had. And so we went back to basics and thought, okay, if the object is there, and if the object being women's bodies, let's actually reflect on real women's bodies within this context.
And this really is a real women's body. Like you say, all the details are there, exposed for all to see. What do you want, not just women, but men, to take away from seeing this type of body put on a pedestal in this way?
Yeah, it's really interesting you talk about men, because even, you know, in the scanning process, fathers were actively involved. Can we take the child? Do you need some space? It was a really lovely space to be in. And I think even though we kind of centered this project around women, and women particularly within that mother space, men are really important to that in a number of ways. And I think that really played out within the kind of production phase that I saw when we were building the sculpture itself.
There's a few stats where 8 to 10% of men do go through postpartum. This is not just a women topic. And a third of postpartum depression can be avoided by men being more helpful with household chores and ultimately helping with the kids too. So it's completely a topic of both gender, not just our gender.
Such an important topic, and my thanks to Rayvenn and Marine for coming in and speaking to us about it. And that